Hi there. Sorry I'm late. Appreciate your patience. Okay. I'll try not to waste any time. Just get right into it. Let me get a drink of water, say the prayer. We'll get moving. Okay, that's good. All right. Just real quick, the prayer for artists. O God, whom saints and angels delight to worship in heaven, be ever present with your servants who seek through art and music to perfect the praises offered by your people on earth, and grant to them even now glimpses of your beauty, and make them worthy at length to behold it unveiled forevermore. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay. Oh, good. This is behaving how I want it to behave. Mostly. Yoy, yoy, yoy. All right. Jeez, that's spicy. Okay. Puking right now. Me, not the baby. Okay. let's see how easy I can make this. Oh. This is the image we are working with at the request of one of the viewers. If you're on the mobile stream, you can't see it. Sorry. I do apologize for that. Okay. So, if you look to the right, I'm not happy with the way that preview looks. Hang on. There we go. So, this is from a piece of fan art from a server I'm in for that Sin Chronicles game. The one that I'm just absolutely astroturfing my Saturdays with. And the question I was asked was with regard to effective perspective drawing. Appreciate your patience. I didn't realize the music was off that long. So, perspective, a little bit tricky. Kind of a mechanically challenging, funny business for pretty much any and all artists who want to do it well. If you want to draw good perspective, this is the book you want. How to Draw. I don't know if it's going to focus for me. How to Draw Scott Robertson. You don't even have to go that far in the book. If you can... Let's see. If you can practice this book, trying to see how far I got in. Okay. I think the farthest I got into this book was about page 99. But if you can get even just halfway through this book actually doing the exercises, you're going to get real strong with perspective real fast. Now, this drawing has the following challenging elements to it. Human figure, firearms, and perspective. Like, don't feel... Oh, hi, Shima. Thanks for stopping in. So, don't get scared by any of these. If any of these 3 items seem complicated, you just haven't practiced enough. Anything you're going to do in art is just going to be practicing simple stuff. Practicing enough simple stuff until you can assemble it into complicated stuff. Like, you know, I'll be honest about the fact that I beat my head against some of my tasks sometimes, but that's because I'm looking forward to solving the problem. Like, I don't think there's anything I've ever hated doing as an artist in terms of drawing. There's just challenging tasks sometimes that you got to beat it down until you get to, you know, enjoy the fruit of the labor. Now, last week, gosh, I love water. Last week we looked at I gotta figure out how to get this plant to do what I want it to do. Last week we looked at, oh, I hate that. Combining basic shapes to get a person out of it. And this is absolutely not near the scope of the exercise that we were doing, but it's at least the general gist. Human figure firearms and perspectives are, instead of combining and stacking shapes, it's combining and stacking forms. I'm a little bit heavy-handed, so I'm sorry about this when I do this. Forms being the application of shapes into dimensional constructions. I'm very sorry about that. No. That was caller ID for a work thing that should not have been available to you, and I'm sorry about that. Oh, and my lamp is shining in the freaking camera. We'll get there somehow, I promise. So human figures, firearms, perspective, those are solved by taking shapes and turning them into forms. You accomplish that in many cases by taking a shape, distorting it a little bit, based on if it's rotated somehow. Usually taking a similar shape with similar distortion and connecting the vertices. So, how how do these principles apply to our example drawing? Well, in my case, kind of like this. And it might become a little bit challenging to see because as a general rule, I do a red pen followed by a blue pen for my drawing because I don't like erasing. I don't like doing that as part of my process. So what you're doing in your drawing, this is Shima's drawing. Shima's in the audience right now. Thank you for joining, Shima. This is a good drawing. I like the effects here. It is appealing. You're using good shapes. There might be a little more strength available to you by specifically learning how to place some of these forms in perspective. Which I see a little bit of construction drawing for that. So, I'll do a little gesture thing off to the side to get kind of the pose that I want to have. So you see off to the side, I'm just doing a little bit of pre-work here because that's kind of like how I like to handle things. And oftentimes I'll take my hand, then kind of gesture it around, feel it around to see how would the character on my paper actually interact with something. If you can use a reference, always do. It takes a little bit of time, and you know, it feels like you might be losing something by not working out of your imagination. Bonzago, thank you for coming in. I am glad you're here, but keeping in mind where you are visiting from, just want to let you know I run a PG stream. But again, thank you for coming. So, I was saying a second ago, you'll gain the ability to draw from imagination over time by practicing with references. It sucks a little bit having to stop and figure out what you're doing, like, for example, with the hand. But if you continue to practice with the hand, over time, you will gain the ability to draw from your imagination with strength and convincing convincingness, conviction. There we go. So, like I said, I'm just gesturing this off to the side a little bit, and then I will show my work. show my work. Kind of explain what I'm doing in just a moment. Okay, so I want a little bit more of a kind of a little bit more of a slouchy gesture. I think that's what's appropriate for the character. So we will push that. Bonzago, that's a little bit of a tricky one if you don't make sure to set your station up for it. Like, I have a bad habit of drawing pretty small myself, but you can see I've got my table here, I've got my chair with a little bit of openness and space. If you give yourself room to draw with more of your body, yeah, I absolutely understand that. I'm in that situation myself a lot of the times too. So, human figure. You don't want to get too, like, in your head about it being blocky, but if you do like a rectangular thing here for the abdomen and kind of a keystone thing here for the pelvis. Do a keystone, not a prism, because the legs start inside. The legs start inside the pelvis, not outside it. Got your sphere. Your face of your sphere here. Develop that sphere into a head with the teardrop on the side. Lifted sphere for the shoulder, because the shoulder has a little bit of independent movement from the torso attached to it. It has a little bit of wiggle. And your shoulder naturally raises up a little bit when you put your arm out or forward compared to where you're sitting it down. So when you pop this shoulder up a little bit, number one, it's just more correct. That's how it is. But popping that shoulder up a little bit adds some visual interest to your composition. So, prism, spheroid shape, keystone. So there's a couple ways that you can do the arm if you're trying to do a perspective thing and you're not so familiar with it. You can just do a tube with a smaller circle in the back and a larger circle out front to get your perspective distortion. Or you can do the rectangular prism. You can choose either one. You can choose the tube because of the more organic way that the arm is shaped. Or you can do the rectangular prism because your arm does have planes. You do have an upper plane here. Your arm is a little bit more flat in this area and has a little bit of a build on the top because of the shoulder meat. And then it comes back out right here on the forearm elbow thing. Right now, I'm just doing a couple of tubes that I will build back out into a shape later. Now, there's technicality to this that you want to mind when there's actual deep technical knowledge that you want to mind when you're doing perspective. Like you want to understand angles, depths of field, stuff like that. But a really great basic piece of knowledge for perspective distortion: you can have two circles of similar size, and you can communicate that. Hey, you too, Bunzagos. Thanks for stopping in. So, when you got your two circles of similar size and the lines connecting them, you know, you can tell that the form is pointing toward the viewer on the paper. But if you put a lot of difference between those two circles on a tube when you connect them, and then you join the shapes, it's not just that the shape is pointed toward the viewer, it's moving toward the viewer. When something moves closer to your eye, it increases in size. It increases in apparent size. It's that change of the size. It's that change of apparent size as something advances forward in the field of view that gives you the sense of depth. Alright. So, knowing this character, Protag is all about that Y2K vibe, the Y2 Kino. So we're turning the gun just a little bit off to the side. We have kind of a flat here. Let's see, 15 minutes. Can I do this session in 15 minutes? Of course I can. I'm goated. So, the hardware of the gun. The handle fits inside the palm. Really like that. We can extend it outward this way a little bit. We will draw some lines. We will draw a couple of lines over here to fold. Give the appearance of the finger folding. Over the gun. Pinky. Okay. So, for firearms, it is really, really important that you draw from reference so that you know you're drawing a specific model. People who like guns like to see all the details correct in a drawing when there is a firearm present. I'm doing just kind of a vague gun shape myself, which is, you know, two rectangular prisms joined together like that. That's what I'm doing for now, just for sake of a lesson. If any of my gun art buddies were in the stream right now, they would probably be approaching my location. But so. This is where it can get kind of freaky because a firearm and a hand are a complicated shape. Now, I'm trying to do the fingers, the tubes right here, over the trigger. A little bit challenging to see. A little bit challenging to see on here because of the red, but hopefully what I'm saying makes a little bit of sense over time. So, we've got this area over here where the gun joins to the handle, and we want a kind of bananas perspective thing going on here. So this, let's see, off to the side, we will advance the shape forward like so. And we'll kind of muddle this in. Not my favorite thing to muddle things in, but sometimes just what you have to do. Oh, poo. I have to put fresh lead into this pencil. I always hate when I have to do that in the middle of a job. It's not as simple as just dropping the lead into the pencil either. They just don't play nicely that way anymore. I have to kind of load it. Okay. I think when you have to... Oh, you gotta be... Whatever. When you load a piece of ammunition into a pistol, like into that port where it ejects, I think that's called breech loading. I think I remember that from Metal Gear Solid 3. I could be wrong. Anyway, so we are muddling. That's where you let yourself get a little bit messy in the process of trying to find the shape you want to communicate. And because we're gonna get a little extra here. Shoulder, arm tube, just going straight out. Arm tube, flat three-dimensional rectangle thing. We are going to have Ilara's other hand doing the psychic claw. If you know, you know. Okay, so since we did all this geometric building, we can soften the drawing up a little bit. And Ilara is a grown-up. She's going to have some grown-up features. And then we're just kind of muddling in a couple of gesture things. I'm skipping steps because I'm running out of time and I want to get the drawing at least like kind of completed. A little bit of tummy. Okay, so the trickiest parts we were trying to communicate with this was the perspective elements, which hopefully we've done enough building here that we can just come back in and kind of finish the drawing out in a have fun type of way. That's the nice thing about doing your thinking work ahead of time. You get to the point where you can just enjoy yourself. You know, like the funny McDonald's Moonhead Man thing. I remember somebody trying to say like that was a racist thing or something. I don't understand it. Like, it's just the McDonald's dinner mascot. You don't have to make. I don't know. I don't understand everything that modern society does these days. So, air shapes for Ilara. Trying to anyway. We got the forehead here. You just kind of got a short bob cut. We got the ear with the 3 piercings. Cute little nose. We know that she can do spiky head, spiky tooth thing. The heavy lashes are very important. Now, did we... No, we're keeping the gesture a little bit. We want the neck to join here. So, you're gonna see a little bit of a stilted quality in the drawing because at some point you have to synthesize the knowledge that allows you to draw simple shapes in perspective and apply it into drawing complex anatomical shapes. And then instead of doing your one step at a time, you're kind of doing multiple steps at a time. Your perspective knowledge and your anatomy knowledge are just kind of built into each other. And oh, I forgot the thumb on this part. The thumb, usually you want to keep that part as low as possible on the pistol grip because you want to keep it out of the way of the mechanisms. Okay. Do the straps. Okay. All right, and then let's see what I can do inside 5 minutes. I get just a little bit more time because some stuff happened and I started late, but my baby is not feeling too well. And once you have done a little bit of planning with the one section of your drawing, then you can get a little bit looser and do just detail and shape stuff in the finishing part of it and just have a grand old time. That's the plan anyway. Trigger guard. Lower grips. Now this is where I kind of shot myself in the foot because I was working off of vibes and not off of a reference, so this grip on this gun is not the best that it could be. when you draw, and this applies if you're doing crazy perspective or like not so crazy perspective, really important that if you use any lines to communicate like shading, you want them to follow the form in some convincing way, which I will communicate here shortly once I have established a few more of these lines. Now, those of you watching, I've only got a couple minutes left here. If you feel like you've been helped by the show today, I'd love to hear it. If you've got more questions that you would like answered on a future show or just in general, like, let me know in the chat or in the comments. The comments helps a lot because that means I can go back to it and, like, refer to it as data for the next video. I mean, the chat's still going to be there, but you know, comments are kind of a permanent log for everybody to keep in mind over time. I hoped I helped, Shima. I hope I helped. And then you throw a little shading on there just because. One thing that can help when you're doing perspective is to do shading lines perpendicular to the form. Because that helps you give a sense of the form traveling through space. As it reaches forward to get you. And then, as a general rule, you usually want the armpit to be nice and dark because, like, there's not light getting in there. That just doesn't happen. And then I'm just trying to throw some darker values in to make the blue pencil lines clearer over the red pencil line, because I got super messy with that. And then the psychic lightning off of the hand, because you just have to do that when the character has a psychic thing going on. That's just what you're supposed to do. Okay. Not only am I out of time, I'm pretty sure I am over time. So, let me say a prayer for you, and then I gotta dig my heck out of this drawing hole I am in. I'm late. So, O God, the source of all holy desires, all good counsels, and all just works, give to your servants that peace that your world cannot give, that our hearts may be set to obey your commandments, and that we, being defended from the fear of our enemies, may pass our time in rest and quietness through the merits of Jesus Christ our Savior. Amen. Okay, so that's where we're at. If you have new questions, if you have other questions, if you have something you want gone back over, let me know, because I want to help, and I want to do classes that are useful and helpful and informative for you. But in the meantime, I have to go. My baby doesn't feel good, and it's bad enough already that I am late. So, we'll see you later. You take care.